The diplomatic relations between the United States of America and Namibia are described as very friendly. It's premised on shared values of democracy, equality for all, protection of human rights, rule of law, and of course, access to justice for all. I'm joined in studio by our ambassador to the United States of America to, of course, unpack that is the bilateral relations between the two countries, as well as those other territories that she's accredited to. This is Diplomatic Communique. My name is Ricardo Tlagosep, and I'm glad to be joined by Ambassador Margaret Mensah-Williams. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for making time out to join us.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me, Ricardo.
I don't know, it's been maybe a decade since I've interviewed you.
Yes, it was. Yes.
It's been a long time. But nonetheless, let's reflect on and get straight to the crux. I think for the interest of those that are at home, for the most part, I think many Namibians just know you as the ambassador to the U.S., but you are accredited to other territories as well. Can you quickly just take us through those?
Okay. I am accredited to 8. But I have not presented my letters of credence to all 8, to all 9. With the US, I have additional 8. So it's the US, it's Canada, it's Mexico, it's Nicaragua, it is Costa Rica, and it's the Bahamas, where I've already presented my letters of credence. Then I still have Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. Those are the additional 3, where I'm still waiting on the agrément in order for me to present.
So basically, if we talk North America, we need to talk to you.
Absolutely.
100%. Let's reflect a little bit on the historical ties between the U.S. and Namibia. Of course, when I opened up, I was saying I think the first thing that comes to mind are those shared democratic values.
Yes, absolutely. And, we have a very friendly and cordial relationship. A lot of people would think that because of our political background, mostly prior to independence, that some of these countries would not be. But you, as Namibia, President always say you are an enemy to none, a friend to all, because we come from international solidarity. And we have good relations. We have representatives in the State Department, in the Biden and Harris administration, with whom we, at a regular basis, we engage and we exchange and we see how we can deepen those ties. And when it comes to democracy, Namibia is one of the favorite countries, they would always say, because Namibia is really very true to exhibit and display the democracy in our country. And we allow also for other people to be part of the Namibian society without looking down upon them. So human rights, I think we are champions of human rights. Maybe we are not 100%, but there's always room for improvement.
Always. If we look at this, of course, it's going to be a bit of a disservice not to ask about Canada, because we've got a sizable population in terms of the diaspora that are there. We've enjoyed really, really good relations, even access to the country as well. Reflect a little bit on our relations with Canada.
Canada, we have very good relations. We are also Commonwealth countries together. However, we are sort of short of staff, and it would have been preferable to have maybe a consulate, but that is not in my jurisdiction to decide. But, Canada in itself is a huge country, and there are we have the issues that brings us together for so many years. We have the issues on fisheries, marine resources, like with the seals. We have the issue that we are currently discussing still, and that is the issue of our visa requirements that have changed. But I must also hasten to say, as Namibians, we are also sometimes not adhering to the rules. But we have a big population within Canada, and we are trying to also get more than the mines and the operation of mining through the Canadian. Mostly it is in mining that they are big with Namibia. But we are also trying to get the creative industries up and running because they are huge in creative industries development. And they have also very good educational infrastructure where our students can exchange.
And that's an important one. And I think just wanted to follow up on the issue around the visas with Canada as well. I mean, no Namibian, when I was growing up, we knew that the doors were open and there's access to go.
Yeah.
But there was also, very interestingly, when that news broke, another quarter in terms of commentary of the public that was saying, but come on, man, we know that we have been abusing this a little bit. Could that be potentially the reason? And in terms of potentially renegotiating that, is it something that we're looking into in the future, or are we content with their decision for now?
No, we are negotiating it. I was there 4 months ago, and we had meetings also with their immigration, because there's quite a number of Namibians who's always out of status, unfortunately, and then they have to be repatriated back to Namibia. But that does not influence our relationship at all. Also on the Commonwealth side, we have very good relations, and the Commonwealth of Open Learning is one institution where we have strategic education objectives together, and where we are also benefiting from them a lot. So,
if one looks at this, of course, in terms of those bilateral relations, particularly when it comes to politics, I think when we come back after the break, we'll delve a bit into the economic relations.
yes.
We don't always sit on the same fire on a number of issues with the United States, whether it's the Palestinian issue, where we had Ambassador Gertz, the permanent representative at the UN, of course, delivered that statement a few weeks back. I think if you look at not only that, the Cuba blockade, and one or two other things. How difficult is it to navigate that as a representative of a country that has such opposing or polar opposing views on some of the positions that your host country has taken?
I must say, irrespective of that, we have very cordial relations. And of course, they also appreciate the fact that Namibia is very, forthright with where we stand, where solidarity is also coming from, and also our economic interest is also there. So you cannot always, it's a carrot and a stick situation. You can't sort of say, no, we don't want anything to do with you or what. We respect them, and we have our boundaries, and they do respect us.
In terms of maintaining that balance as well, and it's very tricky. I'm also sensing now, because on one side it's the US, on the other side it's Canada, of course. They are part of the Commonwealth, and within the Commonwealth we share a common ethos in terms of our outlook on a number of political issues. Has it been easier to deal with Canada because they are part of the Commonwealth?
I would say it's equally beneficial and equally also easier, but Canada also have a certain way in which they operate, and which you have to appreciate. And but there are also those synergies of issues because of being Commonwealth countries. So I think it makes it a little bit easier because there are common grounds that internationally you need to strike a balance with.
100%.
Yes.
Always. We're going to go for a quick break. This is Diplomatic Communique. I'm speaking to our ambassador to the United States of America, Margaret Mensah-Williams. She's joining us here in the studio. I'm not sure when we're going to see her again, but today she will answer some questions. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Diplomatic Communique. Of course, most of us knew her as our mother in the National Council, as the chairperson, very, very staunch when she was in that office, but now running, of course, the embassy in the United States, that also is responsible for Canada, Mexico, Bahamas, and 5 other territories as well. Margaret Mensah-Williams joins us in studio as we continue with our discussion on diplomatic relations. The focus for this year's 9th session of the Heads of Diplomatics mission was to look at economic diplomacy. The President was very, very clear in his opening message that this is what we need to drive towards. If you look at an economy like United States of America, it's a huge, very, very mature market as well. But we had an incredible breakthrough with the beef export. Let's start there.
Okay. Now, you see that the issue is it's such a huge market, and that's what maybe differentiates the status within the U.S. with some other countries that I'm also concurrently accredited to. You have to firstly understand the characteristics of the 50 states in the United States, because they are not all similar. For instance...
So is it a one shoe fits all?
No, it's not a one shoe fits all. For instance, in Texas, we are huge when it comes to tourism, number one, and number two, they are very huge when it comes to farming issues and to hunting. So they are the biggest contributors in terms of GDP on tourism when it comes to them coming into the country to come and do their hunting. And when you go into the official offices, government offices, you find a lot of animal heads that they would tell you,
Trophies,
this is trophy from Namibia. That's a trophy from South Africa. So they are quite huge. But in the beef industry, it's just a pity that we don't have so much of the supply. The demand is high, but the supply is not so good, which we understand because Namibia's beef is the best in the world. However, we are now looking into the niche markets of having our small animals,
small livestock,
small livestock to export, because I mean goat and sheep will be fantastic because they love barbecues in the US. The other issue is also that we have charcoal, the best charcoal that is exported, and the good charcoal who is operating within the US, they have even gotten a prize for the best charcoal in the world. They are in most of the chain shops. The marketing there is quite good. We also participate in some of their social events. And then the other issue is also that we have the beer. So we always tell them in the market, when we want to deepen the market and the effect on the economy of Namibia, we are always telling them, you know, you love barbecue. So it's the Namibian charcoal, it's the Namibian beef, and then you just swallow it down with a Namibian beer. And that makes it very interesting. However, I also need to say that Namibia is one of the beneficiaries of AGOA, and because of that, it is easier for the beef to be exported.
And that's what I wanted to get to. You just preempted me a little bit there. The Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, of course, we know it was criticized quite a bit. Its older versions, but I understand right now as you speak, there are negotiations going on. The beef opportunity came from there, and there are discussions ongoing. Can you plug us into those?
Yes, the first cycle, it's where we had these opportunities that we utilize. We are underutilizing the opportunities. However, we also had to first do extremely aggressive marketing and then also getting the products. I'm also happy that in the culinary section, also now they are interested, and they even had chefs here who can now also come and assist us with that marketing, because once they market through their followers, then it also becomes better, the marketing strategy. But we will also have in Florida a road show, but also next year, but also at universities we speak. And university have students, and the students have parents, and they convey the messages. But for the next round, we want to include also dates, grapes, artifacts, and we want to also increase whatever else we can do in addition to education, which is also good, and the opportunities in education. But in export, our diamonds are already going, without being polished, but not set, etc. And there are different textiles that's also going.
That's also going. In terms of AGOA, what are some of the benefits that AGOA provides so that it intends to continue providing after the negotiations are complete?
You know, the opportunities that is there through AGOA, through that act, that allow you, that you have benefits.
Those benefits, yes.
That you make use of the opportunity to utilize, and you export without paying those the tariffs and so on.
Duties,
yes.
excess quotas, etc.
it also gives you that standard, high standard, because it's very strenuous standards that you have to pass, FDA and so on. And our beef have passed that. And the exports is easier also for the charcoal, where we are getting employment and where they are exporting charcoal there. And then for the beer. But we also, in the beginning, there was a little bit of issues when it came to the random selection.
Yes.
But because of our bilateral relations, we engage the American administration, and we told them that we feel that there's a little bit of a mismatch. And they have really very fast intervened, and that was solved. So we're grateful for that.
Grateful for that. In terms of AGOA, I know, of course, we're talking about bilateral relations, but because it encompasses the rest of the continent, how is the buy-in for the new version that you're currently working on? Are we seeing a sizable number of African countries signing up to AGOA?
Yes, the issue is the rules of operation of who is allowed. Like as Africans, we would like to see a country like Zimbabwe benefit, because Zimbabwe is huge in agriculture. And we also want to have value addition as Africans, where we can, in Southern Africa and then in the whole of Africa, where we can, the supply on the other end that is low here, we can, with the synergies within SADC, with Botswana and others, we can then have the correct number of supply, the volumes that we need. But low and above, the issue of AGOA is really negotiated now for some time, whether we need to extend, whether we need to renew, and we have said, no, let's renew and let's build on what was wrong and what could we improve on the challenges that was there. As ambassadors to the USA, being beneficiary countries, we need to be part of what the implementation should be, because those are bilateral agreements.
Fantastic, Ambassador. We'll go for a short break. We, of course, diplomatic communique for this evening, speaking to our U.S. ambassador. When we come back after the break, we conclude as we look at, of course, just a very brief reflection on global geopolitics. But first, of course, economic ties with Canada after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Diplomatic Communique. Tonight we are speaking to the former chairperson of the National Council, now ambassador to the United States of America, Ms. Margaret Mensah-Williams. Coming back to this, of course, a bit earlier on, we know we focused a lot on the U.S. and Canada because of the size of their economies, but there are other territories that you're representing, and I wanted you to maybe just highlight, particularly with Costa Rica and Bahamas, etc., in terms of some of the economic activity that's taking place in as far as diplomacy is concerned.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Yes, Costa Rica, for the first time we have an honorary council there.
Beautiful.
And we have in Namibia quite a number of Costa Ricans now coming as tourists. It's due to the marketing, the aggressive marketing by our mission, our commercial counselor, as well as the honorary council, and my visiting there and presenting my letters of credence. And they are next to Panama. And Panama is the hub of economic activities. And he is a lawyer by profession, but he is very connected in terms of knowing the laws, knowing the rules, he's also an economist on the other hand. And he made sure that for 21st of March, Costa Rica, for the first time, celebrated Namibia's independence in a park with all other honorary councils, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and with business people. And the anthems were sang, and they have facilitated for people to know where Namibia is. A video was played, and that's how we got the tourist attraction. And also, in addition, schools got engaged, and they had a drawing competition, which they won, and we sent to headquarters the portraits that they have drawn.
That sounds beautiful.
Yes.
Bahamas is, of course, you're saying also becoming sort of the hub of economic activity and diplomatic relations with them?
Yes, Bahamas. I just presented last week my letters of credit.
Oh, so this is fresh. It's new.
It's very fresh and new, but it was awesome. I presented to the Governor General. Obviously, they are also a Commonwealth country, just like in Canada. You present to the Governor General. And then I had meetings with the Prime Minister, bilaterals. I had bilaterals with the Foreign Minister, and then with the Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister. They are very interested also to learn from Namibians about cattle rearing, about how do we produce more. As an island country, they are also Commonwealth, and therefore they also were there with Namibia during the time of our independence, the time prior to our independence during our liberation struggle. And they have supported Namibia at the UN. They were one of our supporting countries, and that was in the Namibian Council. And after that, we are in the Commonwealth together, and so they are looking forward to, most probably on their cards, the Prime Minister was indicating that he would like to invite His Excellency also for a visit, because he feels that there are many things that we can also partner in, even in our educational institutions, exchanges, and in our agricultural college, they would like to send some students, and then we can send some students there.
Definitely. In terms of that, we know, of course, we've covered Bahamas, we've spoken a bit about Costa Rica. There are also others like Honduras, etc., that you haven't been, that you must still take the letter of credence to. But there are maybe areas that you've identified already where we can potentially collaborate, or is it a conversation after you've handed in your letter?
Yeah, protocol-wise, it's a conversation after I've ended, because right now I'm not official. But we are looking at opportunities. El Salvador, in Mexico, we have not done a lot, but we have just also appointed an honorary counsel. He have indicated he's great in boxing, and he have indicated that he watched Namibia, and he watched how our people do bidding and so on. But he also feel that within Mexico, there can be a lot of, because Mexico is just also bordering the US. So we are not aware of any Namibians currently, but they are also applying quite in a big number on tourism. They are coming to Namibia as tourists.
As tourists.
Yes.
That's going to be quite an interesting phenomenon there as well. Before we close off, I really just wanted us to just touch on, just have it overall, your perception around how we need to look at our bilateral relations with the United States, with Canada, and of course the countries in the region. Distance, of course, is a bit of an issue, but hasn't been for those that managed to go set up that diaspora community on the other side as well. What should our general, perception be of these countries, and how should we deal with them going forward? I mean, just as normal Namibians in terms of our understanding of our relations.
Firstly, we have to appreciate not many of these countries actually know or knew Namibia as a country. Very few of them know our culture. A lot of them, students, we also go to universities and go and speak about the Namibia history. One issue that I was laughing about, they were all interested in the genocide issue. And a lot of students actually do research on that. But then there was other students who's interested in other things, like there was one who wrote Braille in Kokokova. Yes, and he presented it to us. And that was so phenomenal. Then there was one of the students who have got some learning disabilities. But he came to the embassy, he met me, he met with the staff, and he was telling us so much about Namibia. I was so impressed. And then there are also issues like Namibians. We are also good in the creative industry.
That's the thing. We can't leave Hollywood out of this.
We can't. We cannot, because a lot of films were also shot here in Namibia, but the opportunities and the people in the diaspora, the African Americans in the diaspora, they are very much now. President was also speaking in Haarlem when he was now there at the General Assembly on a panel, and he was giving, as that scholarly information that he shared and advice. And what I liked was the president was saying, yes, you are asking how we can do our ties economically with the the Africans in the diaspora. Now, part of it is for us to understand, but when we are also in need, then you should also know that you should remember that you are also, descendants from Africa. However, they are now looking forward to have Namibians, to exchange, to do business with Namibians. One of the former assistant secretaries of state, she have quitted her job and she's now very big in the creative industry. Sure. So Namibians very soon, many of our artists and all those in the creative industry will be going to the US and will cooperate, and we can then build economically from there.
Now, that makes absolute sense, and I think it gives us also a lot of hope. Ambassador Mensah-Williams, thank you so much for making time out to join us this evening for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the lovely conversation.
We have it, of course, I don't know, is it 21 hours, 24 hours? She had to stay on that plane to come home and, of course, come and talk to us, give us an update in terms of the work that is being done in the U.S., Canada, and a number of other territories that are being represented. That's, of course, Ms. Margaret Mensah-Williams, who is our ambassador to those territories. That was today's edition of Diplomatic Communique from Ricardo Kwagosep. Until next time, as we continue to give you our business in our foreign missions. Bye-bye.